Hello. Happy Monday. The first Monday of March. It is the second day of March, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about numbers and meditation. On Mondays, the idea is to address the mindset for the week. So it's on purpose, tuning my mind, tuning my thoughts to the things that I want to create, the things that I want to see happen, and noticing if there are contradicting thoughts. So if I'm wanting something, but there's a thought that says it's maybe not going to happen, or that I'm doubtful, that would be a thought that would be contradicting, and I would try to soothe out that thought. And there are many ways that we can do that. I like to always remind the reason that we practice meditation is to give our brain a break. Unlike our body, we can make ourselves have a lazy, or let ourselves have a lazy moment. You know, we can sit down, we cannot move around. We can be movable or not. Like, our movement of our body is something that we have way more control over than the movement of our mind. Our mind, as soon as we wake up, is going to be thinking. And especially when we aren't on purpose using our mind and using our thoughts. So when it's on purpose thinking and thinking and thinking, it is helpful to give that thinking brain a break. Your brain is always sending and receiving messages and signals. And they live in your mind with thoughts and thought forms. All the different thoughts that you think have the potential of magnetizing other thought forms to that thought. And you can let that sort of grow, and then you would sort of be in that mood. You would be in that thought stream. You would then magnetize components and experiences, other people that match that thought. So when you're wanting something to work out well for yourself, but your thoughts are doubtful and insecure and uncertain, you're unintentionally mixing the creation that you're going to get out. It feels more like there isn't any control, or that things won't always work out. And that's where, you know, the tuning of the mind is so helpful for us. When our mind is set, like with an intention or an idea that we want to fulfill, we can let those thoughts come on purpose. We can feel the way that a thought feels in our body when we think it, and we can know if this thought is good for us or not. When we think and feel on purpose, we're practicing our alignment. So let's just talk a little bit about the numbers part, since today is the second, and I like to think about the human as a 2. We are a number 2. God, universe, source would be 1, and the 0 is like everything and nothing. So also God is 0 also. God is everything and nothing, and God is also that first thought, the first action. It would be more symbolic of masculine energy, the 1. But then when you have 2, now you also have a human who is a human, but also streaming a part of the universe, a part of source, God, however you like to say that. And this isn't the same, and it is. It isn't, and it is the same sort of a God that chooses rules for us. It's the sort of God that gives you the gift of life and this brain and body, and then lets you use it as you wish. If you want to do well for yourself, you will find that path for yourself. And if you intentionally or not believe not well for yourself, you will find that path. And it you know, there are enough of us now that know that this is sort of how it works, so we aren't as blind as maybe we once were. This is what you hear when you hear people talking about like awakening and, you know, living consciously, being present, you know, being in the moment with their self, the whole moment, you know. So when I see the synchronicity of 222, I know that to me signals that me and the universe are, we're right together. Like we are thinking, I'm thinking well for me, the universe agrees, this is something good for me, this is good for me. It's like this first layer of support. When I see, so ones could just mean anything from the universe receiving gifts. So like 111, 1111, those are usually signs, the universe is here, presence, whether you're present or receiving a present, it's very much like that. So 222 feels like support, like know that you're good. When I see threes, that feels like harmony or alignment. So some people would say like the Holy Trinity, and again, this is not from a place of that, but this is how I understand it as a human. I get to be human, I get to be part universe, and when I know that, when I feel that on purpose, I'm aligned. So I'm using all of my power, I'm being a human and I'm being the universe on purpose. That's alignment. So when I see threes, I think of that. That's all three of me together working for me, on purpose, but I'm mostly allowing the universe to move through me because I know that's my highest path. I know that's my highest timeline. 4 is more support, maybe even ancestors or loved ones. 5 is like action, movement. 6 is, hi bird, check your 6, check for stability, restabilize, strengthen, be sure, clear any debris that may have come around. And that then, because like 7 feels like manifesting. 7, like in the gambling, when you see 777, like you're winning, that's what it feels like. Ding, it's the presents are coming out, 8 is like this completion number. It's sort of like 0, but like 2 zeros. So you have completed this creation, which we're doing all the time. We always have so many things. We have creation for our health, creation for our family, our lovers, our work, our connection to our community, all of these things, our creation, our artwork, whatever that may be, or our all that, like. And then so 9 is like the action. It's like, here we get to go again. It's this sort of a never ending, incomplete, but now knowing, like with this intellect. 8 feels very feminine, like the 0, it's like the 2, it's like a double 0. And then 9 is kind of very masculine for me in my mind. Like all the numbers that I've learned and all the ways that these have come out have just been sort of how it's processed through me for this past 10 years. Sometimes it resonates with what I see on the Googs, sometimes not. Sometimes other people feel similar and sometimes not. Like whatever the words, the numbers mean to you, that's what it means to you. That's your best knowing. Hey, good morning, happy Monday. Like when you start to give life purpose, when you start to give these little things meaning, they also start to feed you back. You can be like self-replenishing. You can always tune in and be present with yourself, whether you're doing something that seems super mundane, like washing dishes or laundry, or like walking from your car to the office. A lot of times in those moments, we let our brain wander to something that's more exciting instead of just being present and like thanking and appreciating, harnessing what we already got going on. Also then, being present before we go into this new segment, whether we're going into the office or getting finished this so that we can do that, knowing I'm good and I get to get better. I'm good and this is going to be good too. Realigning before entering a new action can be super powerful for us. It's like re-intending all day long. This is when you're starting to get good and you've got this part kind of down, and you got this part kind of down. So now you want to do it all the time. You don't want to be caught in the loops at work too. Now you want to have this presence all day long. And as you let yourself do this more and more, it becomes easier and easier. So let yourself give all the things meaning. So I talk to a lot of moms. I'm a mom. I have 3 littles. I'm a single mom, and yay. And so one of the things that can feel daunting is meal prep, cooking for our littles, right? So I was talking to the mom the other day and I said, think of it like this. This is something that you are doing. This is your job. You are the one that gets to do this. This isn't something you can delegate away, for even this is something you want to do. You enjoy providing for your family. You enjoy feeding your family. Maybe you don't enjoy all the parts like the cleaning, maybe not all that. But when you're in that moment, you can bring your power back in by saying something like, every time I feed my family gets stronger and healthier. In truth, there's always going to be the last time we get to do something. And maybe you're way far away from that now. But each time you cook, know, I won't always get to do this forever. And I'm thankful I can do this now. I'm thankful that I get to provide and nourish and show up this way, and you can sort of trick yourself, play with your energy in a way that helps you make these things in the middle a powerful moment. You won't be so distracted by having to do this repetitive task because you're more in your thinking mind, thinking on purpose, aligning to your dreams, calling in the universe. A lot of times, for me and for my best friend, for a lot of the women that I work with, when we are in those moments like washing dishes, using the restroom, these moments that are in the middle, when we are practicing this quieted mind, we will hear a lot from our big self, from the universe, from source. You hear some people say, I got a download. Those things happen when you're walking into the building, when you're in the shower, when you're washing the dishes, when you're driving, when you're doing something that you do pretty repetitive. You are able to receive really loud because you're awake and you're acting and you're receiving, but you're not super thinky, But this is also how we can slip into momentum that isn't good for us. When we aren't present, this is how we can slip into a worry or, a thought form that doesn't feel good. And in the beginning, creating a new thought form feels like effort. It doesn't flow as natural as maybe it won't work out. When we say in the beginning, I'd really like it to work out. I don't know how, but I know that me wanting it means that how is available. So I don't know how, but I would like it to work out. That doesn't feel as strong as, I know this shit's not going to work out. That feels easy to say. I can say that. No. But when I make space for what I think it could, I think I could love the idea of that. Maybe if I just take my thinking mind off of it altogether, I could have a different idea about this later. And a lot of times it feels really inauthentic, a little robotic to treat and talk to yourself that way. But this is sort of how you get to slow down your inner selves, your inner worlds, the shadow, the ego, the inner child, and let your bigger self, your higher self, your intuition speak through into you. When you're starting to learn this world of inner activity, it is helpful and important. And one of the things that we learn first, that all the questions that you ask and want to know can be answered through yourself. You can think in the morning, universe, show me how this will work out. Show me which way to go. I'm feeling confused and I'm not sure what's right. I'm gonna wait for a sign. Today is the 2nd. I love the 2s. 2s feel support. When I see 222, I'm gonna know that that's something for me to know about this. You're gonna give me some sort of a symbol or a synchronicity that give me a path to let me know if I'm good to go here or if I should maybe readjust. If there's something I should readjust, let me know that. Show me that. We don't want to always ask our friends and our moms. They will give us their best guidance from their seat, but they cannot see what our big self can see. They cannot see and think and feel all of the things that you've thought and felt all the way up until now. Even if you think and swear to goodness you've told them everything, they just cannot know for you better than your big self can know for you. Yeah, music and like background noise is really good for me, like while I'm in the kitchen, doing a big part of my mom and homemaker day work, moving around in the kitchen, cooking and cleaning. I spend a lot of time in there as a mom, like that's where I'm at. And the music helps. A lot of times I'll listen to different hosts on TikTok, and they have different, their different shows, like different things to keep me entertained. I know for literally years I would listen to Abraham Hicks and just listen to new concepts and ideas. And while I'm in this energy of cooking and cleaning and making plates and, recycling and starting all over again, I'm like also digesting and considering new ideas and wondering how could I apply this for myself. I let it be sort of like a place that I get to work for me as I'm working for my family, as I'm taking care of my home, as I'm doing things that maybe once upon a time I didn't love or resented. Like the dishes, I always laugh. That was the first task that I had to sort of get over. I had this big hate with the dishes. Like I hate the dishes. And I had a home daycare, and I did not have a working dishwasher. So a lot of dishes I often had, and I would let them pile up, and I would be so like grumpy and angry, and I would complain the whole time I'm washing the dishes. I would just be mad the whole time. Couldn't wait for it to be done. And my teacher in the beginning, that was the first thing. I was no longer allowed to procrastinate in the day. So when I am finished with the morning part of the day, clean it up as best I can. I did have to tend to the children first. That's always going to be the priority. But there were moments I could start tending to this and making it easier for me, making this easier for me. That was the trick, if you would, in the beginning. How can I make this for me? Even though I don't want to do this and I'm cuss word tired of it. How do I make this for me? Well, it's good for me to take little bites and have moments, when the littles are, talking and playing about. Like it's easier for me to sort of tend to some of this now, so that when I get to it, it's less. And sometimes if I even just take in time, for me, I'm an organizer. I like to organize all my dishes. So if I can have them rinsed and at least organized, that's one step less. And, the first time I noticed this work for me is the cheesiest, dorkiest story. And this is something about synchronicity and aligned living, manifesting. This is something in the beginning that if we expected this to make others as excited as it makes ourselves, it wouldn't really land, But so this day, I was, my first task, not to procrastinate the dishes. As I was still doing this and learning this, I hated it the whole time. I'm always like, oh, washing dishes. I was also guided to not let myself complain and, not speak unkind to me, not be mean to me in my mind. So I'm trying, and trying was also not a word I was allowed to use anymore, but again, I'm brand new, so I'm doing all these things in this way. And then this one day, it was probably a Tuesday, but who knows, maybe it wasn't. This one day, my kid's dad came home early from work. It was a pretty rare thing, and in an especially rare occasion, he was taking my daughters for a walk, like just to the store. It would just be 15 minutes or so. But he was going to take them out of the house. And this had never happened before. I was going to be alone in our home, all by myself, awake with just me. Like in my mind, I would be able to do whatever I wanted for 15 whole minutes. And as quickly as I thought and was realizing this, I knew the first thing I had to do would be finish the dishes. I turned to look, and the dishes were already done. Like, I know this sounds so goofy because I obviously did them. But because I was still doing it in the sake of, I don't know why I'm doing this, I'm just doing this. I don't know. I go to turn this early evening, on this rare occasion where I'm going to have all these minutes alone to take care of the thing, because I'm committed to myself, even though, it's only been 3-4 weeks now. And I'm still not sure. I am feeling better, but still, this stuff is stupid. That's how my brain would always talk. And I turned and saw the dishes were done. And I burst into tears. I'm like, I just gave myself this whole 15 minutes with nothing to do because I've stayed on top of this for myself. I text my coach and I'm blowing up with excitement. The whole time probably that they were gone, I just sat there in disbelief, holy crap, this work is working. I can see how this makes sense for me. I can see how this is important. After that, it was really easy for me to stop complaining a little bit more. It was a little bit easier for me to show up and do these tasks because now I had proof that it was working. I had proof, and that was all it took for me in that space. Each thing that I had to learn, there were different moments of, holy crap, I can't deny this. I couldn't deny those 15 minutes. Just like when I started getting on the scale and I couldn't deny those pounds just kept going down. I'm like, is this really happening? What? Every single time something else became apparent to me that was, hey, you got control over this too. You got control over this too. You can think differently. You can think well for yourself about this too. It was still mind-blowing. I went from being a person that wanted to sleep more because life felt more enjoyable there to eventually not wanting to participate in this space at all, having a whole plan and then getting right to the space of that to hear, well, maybe it could be different. And feeling like God is just laughing at me. If there's a God, this guy's laughing at me. He's just torturing me all about. And to just learn that it wasn't to torture me. It was how I learned. It was for me to know for sure. It was so that I could not deny it. It was to give me the proof. This was how I've always learned this way. I've always had to not believe until I could believe. And I'm not saying I have to do that forever, especially now that I'm aware of it. But as a little person, I didn't believe in anything because the gross reality of negative experiences was always easier to find. It was always there. I was always being warned and taught that way. So that was just easy to see. It was just easy to see. I remember believing that people that were happy were faking it. I felt sorry for people that were happy because they just couldn't accept reality. I thought maybe they were all a little crazy. And that's crazy to me now, to think and remember how much I believed that. It was just because I didn't know that was available to me. I didn't believe that could be available to me. So our ego will do that. Our ego will tell us it's stupid. It's not real. Our ego will make up all kinds of stories to keep us from going in a direction where we may not succeed right away. Our ego does not want to have to learn. Our ego does not enjoy the learning curve. Our ego wants to know it. That's why we soothe her and shh, look over there. Look how you know so well to do this. Quick, run. And then you go that way and do that too, It's a little bit of you don't tell the devil when you're coming. I don't know how you say this the best way. You're the right hand, you're the left hand. So the right doesn't tell the left when it's making a move because he's gonna know, he's gonna block it. So it's you kind of trick yourself. And there's many ways that we can do this. Practicing meditation here and there gives us a chance to notice when, this experience is about to shake my apple cart. This person makes me want to throw them through the window. Not for real, anybody on Facebook, TikTok land. I'm just metaphorically speaking, of course. This person is making me angry. I'm so mad, big mad. I don't want to be big mad though. I want to be aligned. I'm not going to be aligned when this person is such a donkey. I practice meditation. If I know I'm a human is part Nancy, part universe. Even this part donkey, part asinine human, See where I was using it right. Part asinine being is also part universe, part source. So I'm going to let my universe, my source play here because my ego wants to, my inner child wants to throw up middle fingers and maybe toss my sandwich in their eye. You know, like lower density parts of me aren't enjoying this. So what would Big Nancy do? Or Rose, that's my universe's name. What would God do? You could ask anybody that feels bigger and higher and more wise, more knowing, because they have the advantage of higher seat. They can see this path and the unfolding before you get there. You know, it's like MapQuest knows. MapQuest. Right now, though, you're just here. But your bigger self knows this way, that way, this way, that way. That's the part of you want to listen to. You know, sometimes when we let our others, our loved ones, tell us what they think is best, their ego is also coming in and saying, I don't think she could do that. I don't want her to get hurt. I'm gonna talk her over here instead. That sometimes is good, sometimes it's bad. You know, but your higher self isn't gonna be a crapshoot. Your higher self, even if the moment seems like a crash and burn, like a wave falling all around and you wiped off, you're off your surfboard. That's because you need to be whole rerouted altogether. And when you're moving with the universe, even when it feels like you're inside of the washing machine, if you can just trust and let go for a moment, it's gonna make sense. Like, and I say that from a person who used to hear people say this and be like, but how do you know? What if I don't have an intuition? How do I know it? Because I, again, wanted tangible evidence. I needed to see it. The energy of me, I believed in it, but I didn't really understand it. I understood it about as much as I understood electricity. You know? I don't really want to touch that. All right, we're going to do a little bit of some yoga. We're going to move in a little bit of a warrior pose. Today we're going to be thinking about how our movement is our medicine, M for Monday and March. I like also Mom Day and money and more and me and magic and manifesting. There's so many great M words. So for this one, also this is funny, but warrior is like M upside down, right? So whenever I see an M and a W, it's like this mirroring letter. It's very fun. It's very, it feels very magical. There's going to be better words for that, but I'm not gonna go there. Like wise and womanly and magical and more and miracle, miraculous, you know, so many good things. So for today, we're just going to think about when we're able to let ourselves sort of move, trusting that we know where we're moving around, like in a little yoga flow, trusting this yoga flow for just a moment and moving in that space and letting our mind be here instead of in the day, in the worries, in the reality of what could be going on, giving ourselves some time to practice. Right, exactly. Yvonne says we are warriors, not worriers. And I love that. I love when people play with words like that. That's same as I do, or like earlier when I was thinking like presence and presence. I always like to say presence for presence, you know. Anyway, you get it. It's fun. I love to play with words. I'm super word nerd. Also, our words have connections to feelings, and that's a manifesting experience, so I'm a little cautious there because I like good manifesting. I love manifesting well for myself. So we're going to start with this warrior flow. And for the beginning, I'm going to just show you guys the 4 shapes we're going to play in, and then we're going to move into a flow. So first, we're going to do warrior 1. And for right now, I'm just showing you. The hips are forward, and your feet are like both facing front. This back foot is slightly pivoted, maybe not facing all the way forward, but your hips are forward. And then you're gonna sink this right knee a little bit into like a high lunge. Remember, every time we bend this knee, we're bending toward the pinky. Now you're not like physically bending your knee that way, but you're thinking in your mind toward the pinky toe, right? Now, once your legs and hips are stabilized, play with moving space between the feet to make yourself balance, and then sweep the arms up, 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 up. Palms facing, pressing into the big toes a lot, hugging the shins together. Reaching the arms up, fingers reaching long, 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 eyes and chin, look up. This is our warrior one. From here, we're gonna shift this back foot down and then open the hips up to more like that surfboard warrior for warrior two. So now the hips are in a line. It's like big toe, hip, hip, heel, versus in warrior one, it's big toe, hip, hip over here, heel back there. You know, it's like zigzag. Now it's a straight line with the hips. Again, sinking into that big toe. I'm gonna come in with the arms, so we're sort of like in a surfboard for this is our warrior two. The first couple times you come into warrior two, let yourself warm into this wide leg bend. Even in warrior one, when you're warming into that bend, warm that up. Don't just go into it and hold it. Let your legs sort of stretch that in there. So here we are, warrior two. From here, we're going to surrender our warrior. So we're gonna drop this arm back on the back leg, reach this arm up, 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 looking with the eyes and chin. As we're in the warrior shapes, we're always pressing our toes down into the ground, big toes down into the ground. So here we are in our surrender, in our, how do we say this one? Oh, reverse warrior, reverse warrior. And then we're gonna come all the way onto this front leaning thigh. So we're gonna bring this front arm down like across our chest and let that land on the thigh. Take this back arm, swoop it up, up, up alongside the ear into like this humble or forward warrior shape. From this space, we'll come back up, straighten the feet up a little bit, walk into that shape, and we're just gonna switch into the warrior one on the other side. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we'll kind of switch, step up, and then step back to the other side. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Does that make sense? So just try that at home with me, and we're gonna move a couple moments. We're just gonna flow with that. Oh my God. I wanted to play some Calm Whale, but I'm afraid that the copyrights might get me. So I'll just tell you, on YouTube, there's a channel, Calm Whale, and they have lots of really lovely sounds that you can put on, like while you're having your on-purpose moments, your meditation, your movement, while you're washing the dishes or taking a shower or sleeping. These sounds are really good for helping soothe the background. In my mind, maybe it's the neurodivergent in me, but using multiple stimuli that were also neutral was easier for me to land in meditation versus just trying to sit there and do this. I mean, actually, mudras did help me eventually once I realized I was doing that. But just sitting and quieting my mind was just like, didn't work. And then I would fall asleep. Okay, here we are, warrior, let's go. Start in the front of the mat, warm the feet up a little bit, press the toes, come into mountain pose for 1 second, press the big toes, lift the heels, lift the toes, spread the toes, pressing like making biscuits, bend the knees, almost like a skier, stand up, 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 look with the eyes and chin, stretch the arms, stretch the fingers up high, press the big toes, reach the wrists really high, stretch the spine. And then we're gonna come into that middle of our mat now. And so first we're just gonna step into our first warrior one. Pick whichever foot you like. 1 step forward, 1 step back, hips in the front line. Sink, whichever foot is forward, my left foot is forward. So I'm just gonna gently bend that knee, come into a high lunge. Arms up, 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 eyes and chin up, warrior one. Breathe here for a moment. Start to pivot that back heel. Open the hips up into a line, warrior two. Drop the back arm, looking up at the eyes and chin. Left arm going up, up, up high. Reverse warrior. Folding the forearm, left forearm down, lands on the left thigh. Right arm sweeps up, 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 above the ears and eyes. Breathe into here, sweep the arms back up, up, up into warrior two, warrior one. Straighten that foot, step up into the front. Looking up at the eyes and chin, stretch the head, shake the head no. I'm going to keep my left foot forward this time, step the right back into warrior one. Hips are straight, sinking into the low lunge, make space with the feet, look up with the eyes and chin. Take a breath, exhale. Pivot the ankles, stepping into warrior two. Check my arms, make sure I'm where I want to be. Sink into that front right knee. Now I'm going to drop this back left arm on the back left thigh, reaching up, up, up high with the right fingers and eyes, both eyes. Reversing the warrior and then flowing it back down, 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 woo, on the knee. Pressing into the big toes the whole time. Coming back up again, stepping forward, or you can pivot. You kind of get to stretch through that movement. Look up with the eyes and chin one more time. Left foot forward, right foot back, warrior one. Open the hips, warrior two. Drop the back arm up with the eyes and chin. Reverse your warrior. And then bring that front forearm down, surrender the warrior again. I'm going to just step forward this time. Bring in both my feet forward, step forward. Take a breath here. Last time, just step that right foot forward this time. Left foot forward this time. My left foot is backward this time. My right foot is forward. Sink that knee, warrior one. Open the hips, pivot the foot, warrior two, step forward. Drop the back arm, up, up, up with that front. And then bring that front down onto the thigh, sweeping your arm up. Woohoo! Keeping my balance. I feel like the woohoo helps me not hit the floor, you know? Sound matters. And then bringing the body back up into that standing front pose again. Walk it out a couple times, shake the head no. Shake the arms, shake the body. Slow it all down. Standing nice and still and slowly, quietly in your resting mountain pose shape. One hand on heart, one hand on belly. Big breath in and exhale with a sigh. Thank you, body. Thank you, body. Thank you, body. Thank you for everything we will do today. Thank you for everything you've done with me so far. Thank you, body. I love you, body. I love you, body. I love you, body. Thank you, body. And that is that. So today, spend some time looking for M's. I'm still feeling the color orange and now orange and green. Also, I'm wearing like brown and red. I love this for like stabilizing our root chakra self. Also, brown is super feminine color for me. So let yourself look for your synchronicities. Let yourself decide what numbers mean. So like when we're meditating, when we're thinking into the universe, I want this to work out. That's us talking to the universe. And when we're able to quiet our mind and just hear, whether we're moving or washing the dishes or walking to the office, sometimes letting yourself just be open, like, oh, the birds are beautiful. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that's what I'm gonna do. That's how it comes. I'll be washing the dishes. Thank you, dishes. That food was really good. La 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 la. Don't. You get like, you'll feel it. You will feel like this service interruption and you will start having a thought. You'll start hearing a dialogue. You'll see something. You know, when you're giving yourself this awake time, and not complaining, but being open and being neutral, being sort of blank on purpose, so you can hear, you'll be able to hear things that you want to hear, things that are good for you, things that your higher self would like you to know. It's like, we've been trying to contact you about your car's extended warranty. Like, you came with an intuition, my love. Use that intuition. Just like the vampire will not come in unless you invite. So invite your friendly vampire. I gotta work on that one, but it's true, like, you know? I'll see you tomorrow. If you have any questions about this or anything that I share ever, please feel free to reach out. I'm going to be updating the scheduling today for appointment sessions for alchemy work. Yesterday I shared about the eggshells. Tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about mirrors, healing with the mirror, and using the mirror for magic. So if you have any questions about that, you can comment here and I can address them tomorrow. And yeah, see you later, Gator. Bye.